Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're going to have a quick look at transferring our constraint data onto a joint so that we can export the object itself. Now the object in question today is a sword, and as you can see it only has a few keyframes, and that's purely to assist with the pickup. The rest of the data is all via the constraints. I used ZV parent master, so you can see the sword joint is here and the ZV parent master nodes are above it here. And this is where all of the animation data is. If we simply went and baked this down onto the joint, it would only retain some of the information and would go skew-if. So what we have to do instead is create a locator, and I'm going to use this locator. I'm just going to rename. We're going to use this locator as a means of storing all of the motion data from the sword. So we'll constrain the locator to follow the sword, and then bake that data down onto the locator, and then constrain the sword to the locator so that the sword only follows the locator, and then bake that all down. It might sound complicated, but it's really not too much of a problem. So with our constraints, we will select the master first, and then the slave secondary. And I'm going to go to my parent constraint, and importantly, I'm going to take off maintain offset. So it will snap exactly to the sword location. And I did that exactly the wrong way around. Master first, which is the sword joint. Slave second. So do the same thing again, just double check. Okay, so that locator now, if I select it and press W, it should exactly follow the sword and also follow the rotational data of the sword. So that's all good and well. I'm going to bake that down. I'm going to keep driven channels on. I probably don't need it, but I'm going to do that anyway. So that sword now doesn't need, oh sorry, the locator doesn't need its constraint anymore, and it should still follow the sword. That's exactly how we want it. And now we do essentially the same thing with the sword. So if I take this sword and middle click it out of its group here, so that group no longer controls the sword should only have its little twitch. Yeah, so the sword's now only got the animation that it had on there originally, which actually that keyframe there could cause a problem. Okay, let's constrain it regardless. So we want master, which is the locator, and then the slave. Parent constrain, so the sword now should follow the locator. Perfect. And now we do the same thing again. So we take that sword joint and we bake it down. And I should now be able to get rid of my parent constraint. And the sword should do exactly what it was doing originally, but it's now baked down and ready for export. And that essentially is all we need to do with any object that has constraint data on it that you're finding it hard to bake down. Use the locator trick just to transfer all of the motion data from the object that's moving onto the locator, and then you take the data from the locator and put it back onto the object that you want the motion to be on, in this case the sword, and we're all good to go. Cool, I hope that helped. and I'll see you in the next one.